Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. So today I wanted to reveal the true form of Makarasuchus. Now what do I mean by the true form of Makarasuchus? Well, as you know, the video that I posted earlier depicted an AI generated version of this beast. However, the AI was around 80% correct in depicting this thing. It depicted somewhat, but not 100% of how I visualized this thing. So after I posted this video, a gentleman named Caleb Waits, I am probably mispronouncing his name. Sorry, Caleb. And he offered me to draw this creature. And to be honest, he did a phenomenal job. Like, he depicted it exactly the way I wanted it to. This is exactly what I wanted. Like, you will see the difference very soon. By the way, this is the rendition of this new edition of Makarasuchus Zilospinus, where you can see some design changes because the I was using Gemini to generate images, by the way, so it could not depict the thing 100% accurately, but this is peak accuracy. This is exactly how Makarasuchus Zilospinus looks. So as you can see, it's next to Vex, by the way. That is supposed to be Vex for reference in general, you can say. So I will discuss this form in a bit, but first let's point out some differences between the two. So as you can see in the old rendition I have here, the tail isn't as bulky. So in general, the body isn't that bulky. The head doesn't really look like Deinosuchus. However, in this new rendition, the head looks exactly like Deinosuchus. The tail has the proper level of bulk and has the appropriate tail fluke. Not only that, the counter shading that I really wanted later on is added, as well as the Orca coloration. As you know, Orca is one of the contributors of this genome, and I wanted to have the one counter shading of orcas, so you can see the black body with the whitish belly and the fake eyes. So you know, orcas have fake eyes to confuse their prey, and so that the prey that is trying to defend itself cannot gouge those eyes out. So the same coloration is here, and obviously the spines have changed a bit, so the spines are now more fin like. It's in a more relaxed state. It's not fully relaxed, because if it is fully relaxed state you cannot see it anymore, but it can raise even further than what you are seeing in the picture. It's in a good balance point where you can really see the blue outline on it, instead of the old one where it is like really Godzilla spikes, which is not the case. It's very flimsy fins. And that's another thing. The color is obviously now the more improved black orca color, which looks just menacing. Like, could you imagine this thing just leaping out of the water to grab someone? It will be terrifying, dude. But let's go over some details, I guess. So, well, what does this mean for our old rendition? Well, I would say the old rendition is still part of the same species. We can say it's a regional variant. Let's go with that. Let's say it's a regional variant that has a bit of a different diet and, has a different lifestyle. But this is the main submission. Unfortunately, this drawing was made after I made the video, and the video was made after I submitted the for the contest. So people from Goji Center, if you are watching this, please use this edition, not the other one. because Caleb did a great job. By the way, Caleb has his own channel where he posts his artworks. If anyone wants to check him out, I will put links in the description. I highly recommend do go check him out because he did some great job like depicting this. Like look at this, look at this, look at those osteoderms exactly the way I wanted. Here are some like you can see some very flimsy lines here, which is the depiction of the electric generation cells. That is where it's at. Like the electric generation cells are all over this place, all over here. Not much at the head because the head doesn't have much, but mostly along the sides, and majority of it is on the tail. And I also said that we are only taking the osteoderms from the Deinosuchus, so that's there. Instead of in the old edition, you can see it took some of the scales as well, which I wasn't a big fan of. The skull now looks menacing, dude. If you didn't know, Deinosuchus had these really broad skulls that were designed for crushing prey. So another thing, not just another thing, a few more things I wanted to discuss that I could not discuss in my original video. So this is more about internal anatomy, since a few people have asked me in my email about the internal anatomy, lifestyle, how does it battle with the Indominus plague, and how will it eventually reduce the Indominus population. So I will be discussing those now. So firstly, in terms of internal anatomy, this is a mesothermic creature. So this is not ectothermic nor endothermic. It's somewhere in the middle, mesothermic. So ectothermic, endothermic, or as more common language says, warm-blooded, cold-blooded. It's not really warm-blooded, cold-blooded. Ectothermic, endothermic is more accurate in this case. The main difference is that whether or not an animal burns calories, like burns food to maintain body temperature, to increase body temperature and maintain it at a stable levels. That's what it is. Mammals can do it, birds can do it, but not that many other animals can do it. There are some, like I think some fish can do it, like great white sharks can do it, I think, but not that many other animals. This animal, however, is mesothermic, which means it mostly relies on external temperatures. So, due to the osteoderms, it goes on sunbathing, much like a real life crocodile would, and regulates body temperature by that. However, one mesothermic feature this thing has is fever. This thing can get fever. Now, those of you who know about fevers would know this, that fever itself isn't a disease, it's basically an immune response where it raises the temperature of your body to basically stop the viruses from making more of themselves. This thing can get fevers, and that is one of the first line of defense in case it gets infected by the Indom 2.0. Secondly, what if this thing eats Indom 2.0? Well, in that case, I don't believe we have much to worry about because crocodilians have some insane digestive systems. Like, it's ridiculous how much they can digest. They can digest bones, they can digest horns, hooves, nails, you name it, hair. Their stomach acid is so corrosive, they digest everything. Now, no matter what the outer layers of the virus of Indom 2.0 is made of, it's not surviving the Makarasuchus' stomach. It's just gonna get dissolved. Another thing is crocodilians have some insane immune systems. Like it's crazy the type of things they survive. Like there have been cases of crocodilians being stabbed, being shot, like getting their top part of the jaw ripped off, the legs ripped off, their tails ripped off, And then they survived. Not only did they survived in murky, rancid water without getting infections. If they can survive all of this nonsense, any virus Indom 2.0 is carrying, our creature will be fine. Not to worry about it. That's another thing. Now, how exactly will it affect the Indom 2.0 population? Now, obviously, in a 1v1 fight, we discussed it in our previous video, but how the whole general fight goes on. Now, our hybrid works very good solo, and it also works great with Samson, by the way, which is my favorite hybrid submitted in there. So, as you know, Samson works by destroying the vegetation on the island and forcing Indom 2.0 to hunt Samson and then getting killed in the process. However, one thing I believe Madly Mesozoic didn't consider is Indom 2.0 is about as smart as a primate, and it can wield long pointy sticks, plus it has semi-aquatic adaptations, which says if prey on land somehow disappears, either by starving out because Samson eats all the vegetation, or just getting killed by Indom 2.0, even if Samson is not in the picture, just getting killed by Indom 2.0 in general. Either way, Indom 2.0 could go for fishing, could go for spear fishing. That is a major factor I believe no one really considered. And Indom 2.0 with a spear going in fishing would be the last thing if this thing is around. This thing is so smart, it knows that Indom 2.0, being such a big hybrid, would definitely need to go quite a bit of a deep water in order to catch some decent sized fish to feed itself, at least fish the size of humans at the very least. And so the water will have to be about 6 to 10 feet deep. This thing can hide in any deeper water than 8 feet. Indom 2.0 probably will have to go further deeper, maybe like even 20, 30 feet deep water to catch fish sometimes. This thing will be hiding there perfectly fine without any trace, any signs. Because remember, once it shuts down the back spines, it's just a black rock just laying there. No way Indom 2.0, no way for Indom 2.0 to really get where this thing is hiding. And while Indom 2.0 is, wading in the water looking for fish, all of a sudden, just with no warning, bam! This is another amazing sketch made by Colin, and you can see just ambushed straight out of nowhere, grabbed in the middle of the body, or maybe in the throat, or maybe one of the limbs, dragged into the deep waters, and just consumed there. That is gonna be a grisly fate for Indom 2.0. Eventually, Indom 2.0 will either have to risk going for fishing and dying in the hands of this, because remember, our creature is about as smart as orcas, so they will definitely recognize the patterns to where Indom 2.0 goes for fishing and eventually eat all of them. And after which, either Indom 2.0 will have to starve in the island or just go to fishing and get eaten by these giant crocodilians. Now, with that out of the way, let's talk about the elephant in the room here. And no, I'm not talking about Samson. I am talking about energy. Now, like I said, this thing is very big and mesothermic, and there are quite a few energy burning things on it. First of all, the sheer size of it. Second of all, the back spines, like bioluminescence takes a lot of energy. Thirdly, the fast twitch muscles in its, locomotive muscles like legs and tails and all that. Then there is the um, jaw muscles as well, and all of this will take so much energy. And the solution to that is a sacrifice on the crocodile's genome. So, as you know, crocodilians can go for very long without food. Like some crocodiles, like saltwater crocodiles, have been reported to go for years without food, like multiple years. However, our hybrid can't do that. It can go for maybe a few days without food at best, but it probably won't survive like going for months without food on the end. It's more active predator than crocodiles. And another thing is that since it has crocodilian stomach, any prey it eats, anything that gets digested and all the nutrients gets absorbed into its body. So that digestion system gets it extra amount of nutrients. Not only that, as you know, we used orca DNA to boost stamina, which I didn't explain how it does that. So, due to the orcas having specific organs that or cell anatomy, you can say, that helps them fight fatigue a lot better and have a lot better stamina regeneration, that is utilized in this case. So, this thing can burn energy in a more efficient way. No way like an orca. Like it is not a long distance chase animal. It is still an ambush predator which will go quick bursts of speed, jumping out, leaping, grabbing prey, dragging it down and killing it. But still it is at least balancing out some of those very energy expensive features, especially the electric shock. It is a very last resort defensive mechanism, but still it burns so much energy, and this helps it somewhat. Still, it is not going to be shocking willy-nilly every single thing, but it can shock a few times at least instead of completely draining their energy reserves. The fat storages also help somewhat. Now, let's get to the diet. I said it digests pretty much everything. What does this thing eat? Well, pretty much everything. There is no pickiness in this thing's diet. Just like a crocodilian, it eats all manners of fish, all manners of crustaceans, mollusks, cephalopods, the ones that are big enough in any ways, and definitely many type of marine mammals, including pinnipeds and cetaceans. It has a particular taste for large cetaceans like blue whales because it produces so much meat and this thing can feed on it. And it also hunts several land creatures. Depending upon where it is elephants, and this could also be a viable predator for Samson. Though I argue this might not be able to kill the biggest individuals like Samson himself, but it can still take on the juveniles, the subadult Dicaeotheriums pretty well still. Whenever they're wading in the water, eating the sulfur-rich vegetation, one of these can just leap out of the murky water, grab one of the juveniles, and just drag it to the depths to consume it with its family, tearing it apart, death rolling, while one or two of them holds the juvenile, while the others just come in, death rolling and ripping limbs apart. Remember, this thing is a sadistic creature. Apart from that, this is also a natural predator of a creature that Goji Center designed previously, and the bloop. Cool art Caleb made, by the way. As you can see, they are pack hunters, and here you can see that they have formed a group to hunt these unfortunate bloop. Now they have a particular preference for this bloop because this bloop is usually pretty slow and has a pretty exposed gill. So the way they hunt it is by swimming very quickly, because remember our creature can swim pretty fast for its size, very quickly next to the bloop, biting the gills off. And if not possible to bite the gills off, it sometimes tries the fins, sometimes it tries the tail, and oftentimes it tries gang violence. So it is a communal hunter as well. As you can see that this one on the top part is driving this bloop in this ambush where these two are just waiting to dart in, grab this gill, and just rip it apart, letting the bloop suffocate to death or just bleed to death. So that's all for now about Makarasuchus. However, I recently discovered that Goji Guy's battle, the Aquatic Hybrid Wars, unfortunately, Makarasuchus Zilla Spinus cannot participate in that particular fight because in there was a rule that you can't use land creatures, and I used two land creatures in here, so maybe he's not the right fit for it. So does that mean I will make a future hybrid? Well, the company that made Makarasuchus was an Indian company, and after they made Makarasuchus, they kinda ran out of money. So, does that mean that I won't be taking part in this contest? No, I will take part in this. How? Because remember, Makarasuchus Zilla Spinus was the final product. It's the last hybrid they made. In the process, they made several other hybrids, which mostly were aquatic. Makarasuchus were made to fight Indum 2.0 because Indum 2.0 was on land. That is why we made it semi-aquatic from aquatic. But they did make some aquatic hybrids too, and maybe I will make a future video of it. Let me know what you guys think of this new video and the new rendition of this creature. And a few other people have also asked me that whether or not they can draw this thing. Look, Caleb did an amazing job, but if you want to draw it in your own way, feel free to. Any art I welcome with open arms, and I will probably feature it in my um, YouTube video page, and you guys can check it out. And I think one other guy asked me about it. So, anyways, make sure to tune in for the next video. Keep an eye out for Goji Center's Hybrid Wars because they already revealed the honorable mentions. Now, I am cautiously optimistic because my hybrid wasn't in honorable mentions. Maybe it is in top 16. I'm not too sure. I'm just cautiously optimistic here. Maybe not. Maybe it is. I don't know. But make sure to tune in and don't forget to like, subscribe, share. And people from Goji Center, if you are watching, please, please, if my hybrid gets selected in top 16 and you make a video about it, please use this rendition, not the AI one. Thanks for watching.